Hello, I'm BLEIZ, and this is Donkey Kong Jr. Donkey Kong Jr., as the name implies, is the sequel to Donkey Kong. My previous video series covered Donkey Kong. This time around, I'm going to be playing this game for you all. But first, let's watch this demo while I talk a little bit about the game itself. So as I mentioned, this game features... Well, I didn't really mention it, but the name heavily implies it, obviously. The protagonist of this game is Donkey Kong Jr., and clearly the person who plays this game has no idea what they're doing because they just killed themselves for no apparent reason. So, Donkey Kong Jr.'s goal in this game is to save his father, Donkey Kong, from the vile, evil Mario. Mario's actually the villain in this game. That's kind of a first. And sort of a lot last as well. I don't think there's ever really another game where he was explicitly the villain. There's Donkey Kong Circus, which, yeah, he's the villain there too, but no one knows about Donkey Kong Circus, so I'm not really going to talk about that. Also, I believe, wasn't that a Game & Watch game? I don't know. It doesn't matter. You get the idea. So, anyway, after the events of the last game, Mario wasn't too happy with Donkey Kong, so he locked him up in a cage up there. So Donkey Kong Jr. has to collect keys to save his father. Anyway, let's see. So this game is very different, as you can already tell. I'm not playing it. I'm just having this demo playing over and over. But anyway, as you can see, there's 4 options for us. Player 1 games and Player 2 games, A and B, much like Donkey Kong had. B is more difficult than A. It's hard mode. But we're going to start off with 1-player game A. And this is the first stage of Donkey Kong Jr. Donkey Kong Jr. is a very interesting game. It's much more fast-paced than Donkey Kong, in my opinion, and it's also, like, pretty deep for what it is. Obviously, in this game, you climb up vines and occasionally chains. Basically, you're going to be climbing up things. You can, and also, if you touch fruit, it'll fall down and it can damage enemies, and by damage, I mean completely obliterate. However, you're also obliterated in one shot as well. Also, I should point out, you can get stuck right here. Like, not really stuck, but you can jump there for some reason. But yes, Donkey Kong Jr. can jump over enemies, much like Mario did in the previous game. And your goal... that corner is really giving me a hard time, isn't it? Anyway, your goal is to get up and get this key. Pretty simple stuff. But when climbing those vines, I should just talk about it more when it's actually relevant, because I cleared that pretty quickly. Here we have the spring we have to bounce on, which really looks like the jacks from the first game. In my Super Smash Brothers video, well, it wasn't Super Smash Brothers video, but in the bonus video for Donkey Kong where I played Super Smash Brothers, or actually it was Super Smash Brothers Brawl and Super Smash Brothers for Wii U, I showed, the spring item, which looked a lot like the jack, but I think in hindsight it's more like this spring right here, because that's actually a spring. This level's not too hard either, much like the first stage. In my opinion, the last stage of this is actually the hardest. It's not that hard. I'm much better at Donkey Kong Jr., and that's probably partially because I personally feel it's easier. At least it's easier for me. This level's pretty interesting. It's actually sort of reminiscent of Donkey Kong, including me dying a lot. That was pretty good timing for that one. But yeah, I think this stage is actually quite reminiscent of Donkey Kong in that you're jumping over things and like just ascending rather than like moving both horizontally and vertically. I mean, you are moving horizontally, obviously, but you're like moving between different levels and jumping over obstacles to get to the top, much like Donkey Kong. But yeah. This is Donkey Kong Jr. Anyway, what I should say, how about this? Let's talk about the stuff at the top of the screen. You have your individual score, which is marked by an I. The top score, like the highest score available, though this game doesn't have a battery backup or anything with it, though I am playing on the Wii U. So you won't be saving scores or anything. You'll notice the J, which is how many lives you have. Remember, the last game had an M for Mario, or maybe man as in Jumpman. I'm not really sure. But we have 1 life currently because I lost 1 on that last level. This is the last level, last stage, by the way. And you have the level, which is actually difficulty, which is why I keep correcting myself when I say stage, because it's actually not the correct term for it. But you'll notice here, I said we were collecting keys. These are the keys we've collected, even though there's more than we got. We should only have 4, but there's clearly more than that. I don't actually know how many there are. I didn't count it. I guess there's 6. Yeah, I think that's... Yeah, because there's 2. Okay, yeah, 6. I can count, guys, yeah! But anyway, though, you actually had to slot these in at the top to beat this level. The only reason I say this one's the most difficult is because there's birds and stuff flying at you all over the place. It's easy to kind of get distracted and not pay attention to those. Oh, we beat it. So yeah, Junior caught his father and Mario fell to his death. That's a little dark, but hey, at least they got to reuse that sprite, right? They didn't have to make any new assets for this. We're on level 2 now, which is slightly more difficult. I think it's pretty much just, you know, the pacing of the game. The frequency at which Mario launches enemies at you, I suppose. But anyway, though, I should mention, we are playing the NES version. I really didn't talk about that. The arcade version does differ a little bit, I believe. All 4 stages are here, unlike the Donkey Kong NES version, which is nice. But the arcade version, that little ending sequence, Mario doesn't just apparently die. He actually like chases Donkey Kong Jr. Donkey Kong off screen, but then he eventually has to flee, which I think is kind of funny. But anyway, so here we are on the second level again. This time I'm going to take a little bit of a different path. You can actually press A on that spring to jump higher, or you can just hit your head on those platforms and fall into your death. Yeah, those platforms are not jump through. You can't pass through them at all. But you can not. I can get knocked down that way. That was kind of risky of me. But we can go this other way, though it's both slower and more difficult to perform. I might as well show it off, though. But anyway, though, since I'm climbing up chains for this like second I was doing so, I should talk about how climbing actually works in this game, because I said this game actually is pretty deep for what it is, and I'm mostly referring to how climbing works. You can probably notice that I can either climb 1 chain or vine at a time, or 2 like that. Your speed differs differently depending on, yeah. Your speed differs depending on how many, I'll just say vines instead of vines and chains. How many, or in whatever those pole things are in level 3. I'll just say vines, yeah. Depending on how many vines you're climbing and whether you're going up and down determines how fast you move. If you climb 1 vine at a time, you'll move up slowly, but you'll descend quickly. Here, I'll just show it off here since there's no real threat here. See, we ascend pretty slowly, but we drop really fast. Way faster than anything in either Donkey Kong or Donkey Kong Jr. It's quite crazy. You climb faster with 2, but you actually descend slower if you're climbing 2. So there's actually there is a purpose for climbing with climbing 1 vine or 2, which is pretty interesting in my opinion. What I also think is interesting is these little enemies are called Sparkies. They've appeared in a bunch of other games. The other enemies we'll discuss when we see them again haven't really made too many comebacks. I believe they're in like some of the Mario vs. Donkey Kong games and the like. But these guys have been in like mostly Mario games. I don't actually know if they ever came back for any Donkey Kong games, but they're on all kinds of Mario games. Mostly appearing as little Sparkies, but yeah, these Sparkies, like, they're in Super Mario Bros. 2, like the the international Super Mario Bros. 2, which is quite interesting, but then there's, like, the little Sparkies, or I think in some games they're called Hotheads, or there's a different, like, there's a very similar enemy called a Hothead. If you play Paper Mario, you get a partner in that game named Watt, and she's a Sparky, so that's pretty interesting. So yeah, there's even one of them that's a actual, like, party member in Paper Mario. Speaking of which, Paper Mario is a great game, but that's not what we're playing Donkey Kong. These little enemies and the other birds we saw, I'm not sure if they're like considered the same kind of enemy. They look different, but they behave like very similarly. So I'm just going to say that all the birds are called this. They're called nitpickers, which is a pretty interesting name to say the least. I don't know why they're called nitpickers. I guess they're very picky about, I don't know, something. Killing apes, I guess, like it just did. For some reason, I know this is a really weird comparison to make, and people are going to be like, oh, why are you talking about that game? But they kind of remind me of Flappy Bird a little bit. Like just their shape and size and, like, general, like, kind of, like, odd demeanor they have about them. I don't think the same of the other birds that we saw earlier, but these nitpickers specifically, if they are nitpickers at all, maybe I should just call them birds. But these, like, kind of just remind me of Flappy Bird for some reason. Oh, and these little like chainy guys. For the longest time, I thought they were little baby crocodiles, sort of like the Kremlings in the Donkey Kong Country games. And I actually thought they might have inspired the Kremlings, but they're not actually crocodile, alligator things at all. They're called Snapjaws, and well, I guess they sort of resemble them, but they're more like, I think, like a metal bear trap kind of thing, but with a chain on the end. That's not actually a tail, that's a chain. So I guess whether they're robotic creatures or like actual like living things is a mystery to me. But anyway, though, how about we talk about Donkey Kong Jr. himself for a little bit? Donkey Kong Jr. like doesn't appear in much of anything, which is kind of odd. Like he's appeared in a few things after this title. I think yeah, it's game over. I lost. But yeah, he's appeared in, he was in Super Mario Kart, he's in Mario Tennis for the Nintendo 64, he's also in, the Virtual Boy Mario Tennis, which is pretty interesting, and those are his most notable appearances after Donkey Kong Jr., like, he barely appears in anything at all, which is kind of odd, even though he's the next generation. Yeah, the first one was his youth, and now we're on, his legacy. Yeah, we got, I don't know, like, we got, like, Phantom Climb and Barrel Tendency. I don't know, I'm really stretching the JoJo joke there. Yeah, we had to save Lisa from Cars. We just did it, yeah. I can't believe I'm comparing Donkey Kong to JoJo. Yo, if you haven't seen or read or, like, anything JoJo Bizarre Adventure, go do that. JoJo Bizarre Adventure's great. I can't believe I even got off of that, yeah. Yeah, and modern Donkey Kong is Jotaro. Yeah, let's do it. That's the idea we're looking at here. Maybe Mario would be Dio, constantly haunting the family throughout the years. Maybe that's it. Something we haven't, I don't think we've seen it, or at least I don't think I've done it so far. I did do that, so I don't know why I tried to go back after I went ahead and went for it. But this game, much like the original Donkey Kong, has fall damage to it. Like, if Junior falls from too great a height, he's out. Also, I think it's odd, like, you just jump just short of making that platform. You have to use a spring, which is kind of odd in my opinion. What isn't so odd, though, considering like how long this game's been around and everything, is how easy it is to get a hold of. I mentioned last time that like Donkey Kong's available in practically everything. That's not quite the case, but this game is still pretty easy to get a hold of. It's available on NES, which is technically the version I'm playing, though I'm actually playing the Wii U Virtual Console version of the NES game. I don't know if the arcade release is available in any other ways besides like playing the arcade machine. There's probably something that I don't know of. But the NES version's real easy to come by, though. Here, I'll play your B game. But the arcade version's really, not the arcade, the NES version's quite easy to come by. Yeah, it's obviously, if you want to get it as an NES cartridge, you can totally do that. I can't believe I just did that. That was great. But if you want to get it as an NES cartridge, you could totally do that. But you can also play it on the Wii Virtual Console. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it's available on Wii Virtual Console. I've never actually played it on a Wii, but I'm fairly certain it's there. That'd be weird if it wasn't. You can play it on the Wii Virtual Console, which is what I'm doing right now. You can also play it on 3DS, and actually on the 3DS there's actually a game released with the Ambassador program. Like if you bought a 3DS early on, you got 20 free games. This is one of them, along with the original Donkey Kong. I didn't mention that in my Donkey Kong videos, but now I am. I just went for that one. I totally just got bit. That was crazy. I can't believe I did that. Also, I'd like to ask, where are we exactly? Like, there's vines and a lot of greenery around, and it looks like we're in a jungle, but I highly doubt we are. I don't know why Mario would bother to haul Donkey Kong all the way out to the jungle to hold him in a cage, but I don't know. It's quite odd, and you can't really tell, like, because this black ground, yeah, this black ground, the background's completely black, so you can't really tell. I can't believe I actually made it through that alive, but, so there's no real, like, actual explanation for where we are, I think we're supposed to be in the city, which makes this even weirder. Who knows, especially this level, in particular, this stage. I keep saying level, but level's not appropriate because the level, is like what is like every 4 stages, the difficulty increases and the level counter goes up. So yeah. Also, I don't know if I mentioned it. I'm fairly certain the bonus timer in this game works the same way, as last time. You get how many points you get when you in the level, and I believe it can count down to 0. You know what? Let's test it out. I don't think I've actually ever done it. So hey, let's get a shot. Why not? Can I actually not get off these? I've never tried it. Yeah, you can't actually get off these. So I don't know. But yeah, as you notice, these birds are different from the other ones. These are the ones I know for sure are nitpickers. I'm not sure about the other ones, so I couldn't find any other alternate names or anything. Though I doubt anyone cares too much. I don't think anyone's gonna jump on my back for that kind of thing. That's kind of a weird. I don't know if I've ever even heard that phrase. It just kind of popped into my head. Jump on my back. Okay, let's get off that. Anyway, though. So, there's one other thing. Oh, yes. About the Snapjaws, even though they're not on screen right now, I'll say something about the Snapjaws. It's probably not the best. Like, this probably isn't too entertaining to watch me just sit here, but I just wanted to, let's test this bonus timer out. But anyway, the Snapjaws, notice they come in red and blue variety. The red ones, will move up and down chains. They're sort of like red Koopas in that they won't fall off. Blue Snapjaws are faster, but they will jump off chains to their death, which is kind of weird, so... Or, actually, I should say vines, because they mostly appear in the... Well, no, they appear in the last stage as well, so... also, I should mention, you notice these birds, or these nitpickers, fly to 3 different levels, up, middle, and bottom. That's kind of interesting. And drop eggs, and those eggs are fatal. You will die. I don't know if I mentioned it, it's probably pretty obvious. Like, this is a game with one-hit death. That's just kind of a thing. But also, like, what are we looking at right here? I would like to mention, like, the last game didn't actually have, like, moving, floating platforms. This one does. Like, those platforms aren't attached to anything. It's really quite odd. But hey, the timer is finally ticking down. It took a while. I should also mention that, like, notice Mario, that's a whip. Mario's just straight up whipping these creatures to do his bidding. Yeah. You will die if you run out of time, though. Like I said, it's never actually happened to me. It never really happened to me in Donkey Kong until I tried it, so... Yeah, these levels aren't that long. I guess if you really just stall and just, you know, just try to go for, or try to wait around for a perfect opportunity, I don't know. I don't know why you would anyway. You get points for doing it, unless you're just, like, doing... Like, in Donkey Kong, you can do a lot of things that'll, like, give you more points, and most people go to the timer. But in casual play, there's really no reason for it. But you'll see, like, these blue Snapjaws will straight up fall into the water. But the red ones won't. The red ones will keep going back and forth, but they're much slower. Not much slower, but it's a significant speed decrease. I'm not sure, like, why Mario just kind of sits there and let you do that. Speaking of Mario, I should mention, there's another weird thing in the arcade version of this game. In the arcade version of this game, the little intro sequence where Mario, like, I don't remember if he pulls the DK stage on screen or off screen. I believe when he's pulling it on screen, there's actually 2 Marios. Like, it's the same sprite. It's the 2 of the same sprite. Yeah, I got a nitpicker with fruit. But it's just the same sprite, like 2 of them on each side of the cage pulling it. I don't know who that other guy is. Maybe Mario can just duplicate himself. I don't know. Maybe that's the double cherries from 3D World. Like, how many years before? Like, almost 30? I don't know. When 3D World was like, what? 2013? I think it's 2013. And this is 1982, right? That's what it says on the title screen. I'm pretty sure it's 1982. Hey, let's talk about the Sparkies since we're here. The orange Sparkies will just loop around the same platform. You'll notice, like, the blue Sparkies, which I didn't mention before, you get points for jumping over enemies, or those enemies at least. I didn't mention that before. They'll actually drop down to lower platforms. You'll notice Mario is producing the blue Sparkies, but the orange Sparkies are just kind of there from the get-go. And if I'm not mistaken, they always fall down, like, on a certain part. Maybe not. I've never watched them too closely. Let's find out right here. That blue Sparky, I don't know if I've ever seen that. Oh yeah, that blue Sparky actually just halted. That's kind of interesting. You'll notice that the orange Sparky's, like this top one at least, is way faster than the others. And all the others move at the same pace. But hey, we reached up again. Yay, we did it! We got another key. Now we can save Papa Kong. As long as we don't fail this miserably, which I'm prone to doing. I'm not sure why these keys, like, unlock the top of this to make it drop. You think Mario might... I mean, Mario's a carpenter in this, right? So why couldn't he fix that? You think that'd be, like, the thing he could... The number one thing he could do to prevent DK Jr. from saving his father? is to rig this up to not do that. I don't know, maybe that's just not his expertise, is working with locks. Like, specifically, I guess that would be a locksmith, but, like, he could probably just break those off or something and seal it up. I'm sure he could do something like that. But clearly he didn't have that much forethought. Instead, he went over to the zoo and got a bunch of animals and whipped them to do his bidding, as well as some, like, weird bear traps with eyes and chain tails. I don't know. Like, what are Snapjaws supposed to be? I don't know. Speaking of, like, weird enemies and stuff, I'm not actually sure if, like, any of the animals in this are actually, like, wow, I didn't actually think I was within the hitbox of that, within the hitbox. I'm saying hitbox, like, oh, I know my video game terminology, right? But nah. Anyway, though, I do find it quite odd that, like, or not quite odd, but, like, I'm saying like a lot. I don't know why. Like it's like you know, like I don't know. Like I don't know what I'm talking about. Kind of like. So in modern artwork, which I believe is from the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series, don't quote me on that. I haven't played too much of those games. I do like what I have played. I just haven't played them too much. The modern artwork for nitpickers kind of make them look sort of mechanical, so maybe all of these, probably in the original iteration, I'm pretty sure those birds are supposed to be, like, just straight up birds, but obviously the Snapjaws aren't, so maybe these aren't as well. Maybe Mario's actually totally not. Yeah, watch PETA make a parody game of this, like, how many years later? How many years has it been? It's been, like, let's see if I can do the math. Yeah, me trying to do math. Sure thing, buddy. Yeah, that's gonna work out great. Anyway, though, enough of me. Yeah, the math is for another time. There's some other game I'll be playing just for you all that involves math and Donkey Kong Jr. If you know what I'm talking about, you're probably like, what? Why are you doing that? Because I gotta play these games, bro. I love video games. I love them so much, I'll play even the worst ones. I'm talking like this is a really cool, respectable thing to do. I'm playing video games and making a video of it. That's real valiant. That's real respectable. I don't really have as much history to talk about with this game. This game is unlike like Donkey Kong. This game wasn't as popular as Donkey Kong. Like, it's not unpopular really, but like everyone knows Donkey Kong. Not many people know or play Donkey Kong Jr. Although I really do like this game. It's much more fast-paced, and I really do like the vine climbing mechanic. I think it's really neat, especially for a game of this era. It's very, like, I don't know. I just, even though it's only 4 stages, I still really do like this game. Anyway, though, so yeah, I really don't have, like, any, like there's no lawsuits to talk about. There's no, I don't even know, like, much about the high score record to this game. Maybe I should look that up, but honestly, like, Donkey Kong Jr. was just never as big of a deal. That might be part of the reason he never came back. In fact, Diddy Kong was originally planned to be a redesign of Donkey Kong. He was going to be Donkey Kong Jr. as redesign, and Nintendo kind of just decided that they didn't like the complete overhaul in terms of his design. Like, remember, he had appeared in Super Mario Kart on this console, no less, so it'd be kind of weird, I guess, they felt. And also the fact that, like, Diddy Kong really doesn't look like Donkey Kong Jr. at all. He's a chimp, right? He's a chimpanzee. Well, Donkey Kong Jr. is an ape. That's kind of a big stretch. So, what was that about? Why did I even do that? I guess I just pressed right one too many times. Yep, I did good. I did a real good job. But, so that's why we have Diddy Kong Jr. as a separate character. So I wonder if the original intention, if that was the case, I wonder if the intention was to have the Donkey Kong Country Donkey Kong be the same Donkey Kong you see here. And in that case, was Cranky Kong in the game, or was he just going to be like this Donkey Kong's grandpa? Who knows? It's a mystery. It's kind of, I don't know. This is one of those things, I guess. But yeah, it is kind of odd. Back to the topic I was talking about earlier. I do think it's quite odd that you just don't see Donkey Kong Jr. He does appear as a costume in Mario Maker, Super Mario Maker for Wii U. But he just doesn't appear really. You'd think like he'd be a pretty easy pick for a lot of the sports games, the kart games, and maybe even the party games, just even as a side character on like the Donkey Kong themed boards, but nah, he just doesn't appear. That's kind of odd in my opinion. There's just, I don't know, it just kind of bothers me. Like, you know, like, if I ever do get, like, no, I'm not going to say anything about that, really, but, like, for example, you know, like, Sonic the Hedgehog, like, that series has so many characters that, sir, don't even get me started on, like, the comics and the cartoons, but that series has so many characters that get used once or twice, and we never see again, like, Mighty... the Armadillo, Ray the Flying Squirrel, blobbity blobbity. I could go on, but that's for a different thing. Like, Donkey Kong Jr. is sort of that for Nintendo, in my opinion. He's a, well, I don't know, like, he's appeared every once in a while, so I guess he's more like the Chaotix for, like, the Chaotix that are still used. For Nintendo, he appears every once in a while, but not very frequently. Like, he hasn't appeared since the NES and, like, since the N64 and a really, sort of, like, semi-important role. Even, like I said, he's in Super Mario Maker, but that's just as a costume. Like, everyone gets a costume in Super Mario Maker. I do like the fact that game has so many costumes, but that's really not saying much. So, oh, he's a costume in Super Mario Maker. It's like, that's really not that big of a deal. To be fair, I do feel like Diddy Kong has kind of eclipsed him in that manner, but as I've been telling, I kind of have mentioned the Donkey Kong family tree a few times in this video with my weird JoJo references that I made. And that does bring up a thing. If you think about the family tree, or the kind of like weird, sketchy family tree that like has some weird things going on with it, Donkey Kong Jr. is either modern Donkey Kong or, the more likely of the two, modern Donkey Kong's father, which makes it even weirder that we haven't seen him. Like, considering he like has family ties to two still relevant characters like Cranky Kong and Modern Kong. I guess he's Donkey Kong Jr. the Third, though he's never referred to by that name. You see them all the time. Like, Cranky Kong's playable in Tropical Freeze. He's all over the place in the Donkey Kong Country games, but he's just not. He's not in. Like, Donkey Kong Jr. isn't there at all. He's just non-existent. Like, he never existed in the first place. The reason I said he could have been either this Donkey Kong's child, or, well, I mean, he could be either modern Donkey Kong or modern Donkey Kong's father, is because in Donkey Kong 64, I believe, good job, me, I wasn't even watching, but in Donkey Kong 64, they mention, at one point, Cranky Kong refers to Donkey Kong as his son. But since then, he's always referred to as his grandson, which seems more likely because Cranky Kong was really super old. So that might just be an issue, like a scripting error. Like, well, that's usually not what scripting error means in video games or like any kind of software. But no, like an error with the script, like Rare kind of made a little bit of a mistake, maybe, or maybe that wasn't established at the time. Maybe they intended for him to be Donkey Kong Jr. and then Nintendo changed it at a later date. I really can't tell you because I don't know. It's just kind of, I know I keep saying this over and over, I just think it's really weird that Donkey Kong Jr. just isn't around. Just isn't there. It's really strange. You'd think he'd, like, maybe, I think he makes a cameo in Tropical Freeze at one point or something, like, not even, like, as a character, like, in a background or something like that. I don't recall. Something to that effect. But yeah, that is a good question. Like, is Donkey Kong, like modern Donkey Kong, is he the child or the grandchild? That's something that, like, I feel really needs to, oh, good job. Nintendo's probably, like, come out and said, and I think, like, in more recent releases, it's straight up stated to be the grandson, but that thing from Donkey Kong 64 is really weird, that he straight up says he's his son. But we're not playing Donkey Kong 64, even though I played the Donkey Kong arcade version on 64. That's not that video, that's not even that series, this is a different thing, so. Anyway, now that I'm about to actually beat Game B, Stage 4. Don't mess it up now. Don't do it, BLEIZ. I think I'm going to actually end the video here. Like I said, there's not that much to talk about with Donkey Kong Jr. I don't have the arcade version to show you all. I just straight up don't have it, and from what I can tell, it doesn't differ too heavily from the NES version. It's mostly the same thing. Obviously, like I said, there's some, like, visual animation things going on with that version, like the little intro and outro stuff. But I just dropped the ball at the last second. You know what? I'm going to beat Game B. I don't think I actually did it yet. I might have actually done it. But I'm gonna do. I haven't been, honestly, like, paying attention to what I'm selecting. I've kind of just been bouncing back from game A and B. Because I've just been kind of talking about the game, which seems to happen quite a bit in these videos, but that's fine. I'll go ahead and try to blast through this really quickly. I say really quickly, and by that I mean at a leisurely pace, because that's, even though I said this game's like quite a bit faster paced than Donkey Kong, it's really not saying too much. I will say, I tried to get this to work for this video. I showed earlier that you can kind of get, like, sort of stuck there, not like permanently stuck, but sort of, on that weird little ledge cliff kind of thing. One time when I was playing this, and it was actually to practice for these videos, just so I wasn't completely terrible at the game when I played it, and just kind of, you know, give me a little refresher. I kind of got stuck in there, and then I ended up, like, I actually got stuck. I know I keep saying you kind of get stuck, and by that I mean you just can't jump. I actually got stuck inside of that platform, and after mashing buttons enough, I ended up getting attached to one of the vines below the platform, and then the game progresses normal. And I haven't been able to replicate that glitch. I tried to, so I could show it off here, and it just wasn't happening. The game wasn't having it. It's like, I messed up once, I'm not letting you see that again. So sadly, I didn't get it recorded. I wasn't recording at the time because I don't actually record games. Ha! Ha! That's a funny mess up I just had. But yeah, I don't actually record stuff. I just realized, I looked at my timer, this video's been going on for more than half an hour. Yeah, my videos are kind of long, I have noticed that, but it gives me time to talk about everything and show things thoroughly. When I play more other games with more to them, it'll be kind of a better setup. But for now, I'm just doing it because, like, I feel like I've pretty much talked about everything I want to talk about thoroughly, and I haven't left out anything, so that's good. So this video link's not, I don't think it's hurting me. I kind of have gone back and forth on things a little bit, but maybe I shouldn't, maybe it's not the most interesting to critique myself when I'm playing, so maybe I should just stop talking about that. But what do I talk about now? How about the fact that I still can't get over the fact that Mario's just whipping these birds and having them shoot their eggs, not even shoot, drop their eggs upon you. It's really bizarre. Hey, I mentioned, like, earlier that, like, where are these where are these stages? Where is this? Like, where are we right now? I don't get it. Are we in a is Mario an electrician now? Is this whole thing him, like, switching between different occupations? Like, the first two levels are, like, him being a zookeeper, and this one's being an electrician, I guess. And the third one's him being a locksmith? I don't know. It's vague. I will say, I didn't mention this before. This final level, which we're about to reach, is quite reminiscent of 100 meters when you kind of look at it. Like, it's blue, it's pretty tall, and you gotta, no, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Or the word I'm looking for, rather. I don't know. But you have to activate things to beat the level rather than getting the top, which is the case for all the other levels. And the same thing's true for 100 meters, because in 100 meters you gotta pluck out the bolts. Here we gotta push the keys into the keyholes. So yeah, this is quite reminiscent of 100 meters. It obviously isn't, as a totally, like, different setup, because this game works way differently. But yeah, it really does look like, the more I look at it, it really does resemble 100 meters. So I'd say this is way more difficult than 100 meters. Those fireballs just can't compare to horizontal and vertical danger that we're seeing here. I do think this level is very neat. It's still probably my least favorite level of all of the Donkey Kong Jr. levels, so. But hey, we did it though! So, yay, we saved Donkey Kong. And with that, we're going to end the video. So yeah, I covered Donkey Kong, and now I've covered Donkey Kong Jr. How about we just jump in the water? Let's go for a swim. Clearly Donkey Kong Jr. can't swim, that's kind of odd. But now that I've covered both Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr., what's up next? Well, you can check in for my next Let's Play and find out, I guess. He's just about to get bit by that sapjaw. So hey, I'll see you later.